Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mokam Karoti Vachalam Pandum Langayati Girim Yatripātamaham Vande Shri Guru Dīnakaranam Paramanandamādhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. श्रीमद् भागवतम ग्रंथराज की जय, श्री गुरुदेव की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय. निताय गौर सीतनाथ प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. So our verse today for the Srimad Bhagavatam is 4 to 22.
Mataji.
33 this. Okay. Something felt like morning I saw some number Prabhu in between the school. It was 22 registered, so it is 22.
22 your last week class.
Prabhu?
22 you took last week.
Oh, is it? Okay. 33. Fine.
Let me confirm, Mataji, 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, last week. No, sorry. Yeah, last week 22, this week 33.
Yeah, Prabhu. Now I saw the correct number. What you posted, 33. Fine, 33. I'll just take 33. Yeah.
Internet is slow. 1 minute.
Yeah.
Okay. You can start reading, Mataji. Veda based.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, Maitreyo Vacha 4 to 33. Maitreyo Vacha Tasyaivam Vadata Saham Vrigosa Bhagavan Bhavaha Nischakrama Tata Kinchit Vimana Ivasanugaha. The sage Maitreya said, when such cursing and counter-cursing was going on between Lord Shiva's followers and the parties of Daksha and Bhrigu, Lord Shiva became very morose. Not saying anything, he left the arena of sacrifice followed by his disciples. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Here Lord Shiva's excellent character is described.
If you want, somebody can read, Mataji.
Yeah, anybody can read.
Ayan, you want to read? Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, please.
Here Lord Shiva's excellent character is described. In spite of the cursing and counter-cursing between the parties of Daksha and Shiva, because he is the greatest Vaishnava, he was so sober that he did not say anything. A Vaishnava is always tolerant, and Lord Shiva is considered the topmost Vaishnava. So his character, as shown in this scene, is excellent. He became morose because he knew that these people, both his men and Dakshas, were unnecessarily cursing and counter-cursing uh, one another without any interest in spiritual life. From his point of view, he did not see anyone as lower or higher because he is a Vaishnava. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 5.18, Panditaha Samadarshina, one who is perfectly learned does not see anyone as lesser or greater because he sees everyone from the spiritual platform. Thus, the only alternative left to Lord Shiva was to live in order to stop his followers. Nandaswara, as well as Bhrigu Muni, was cursing and counter cursing in that way. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, yes, so much of cursings and counter cursings. The episodes of the different pastimes in Bhagavatam is actually for us to learn so many valuable insights into this. In fact, there are so much of there is so much of emotional touch in the pages of Bhagavatam, which we very much fail to realize, and we just go by the shastric study of it. Okay, we are not supposed to harm the Vaishnava. That is there. The periphery, it is of course there. But yet at the same time, there are some emotional touches which we as devotees sometimes overlook, because we sometimes feel that we are not supposed to be sentimental and all these things. But as human beings, as conditioned souls, though we are devotees, still that basic making is there for us, isn't it? That we are touchy, we are sensitive, we get angry. These negati, that is, you should not, you should not, you should not, doesn't always work with everybody. It is very easy to say, you should do like this, you should not get angry, you should not get emotional, you should not curse, you should not feel bad towards anybody. All these, it is easy to say. How much can we practicalize it in our life is the main import of our spiritual life. Now, here sage the usual, before the scenario, before Maitreya Muni is coming into the scene, before that, what is happening is that Bhrigu Muni, and that is Bhrigu Muni, who are on the side of Daksha, and the followers of Lord Shiva are on the other side. So it is right opposite poles. South and north is really collaborating with each other. In this situation, Nandi Deva, what he did is that he was totally cursing, or rather criticizing the Brahmanas, saying that you are supporting Daksha, but Daksha is like this, and you have not given him the proper coaching, etc., things that is going on between Nandi, criticizing the Vedas, what followers of Vedas are you, and etc. So at the same time, Bhrigu Muni couldn't control himself. Bhrigu Muni, what he did is that he, at the same time, he also counter cursed tit for tat. This is the modern equipment which the conditioned soul uses. Tit for tat. He did this. Okay, if my one eye goes, I don't mind, but my neighbor's two eyes should go. This is the philosophy which the people of Kali Yuga totally follow. So, Bhrigu Muni counter-cursed Nandi Deva, who was the followers of Lord Shiva, and totally made it a curse that those who are following Lord Shiva will be atheistic by nature. They will not have any spiritual tinges in them. And so the new propaganda of atheism has also come. So, so it is considered that those who are atheistic in nature are actually followers of Lord Shiva. But how Lord Shiva does it is that even though they are atheistic, if they keep somehow having some connection with Lord Shiva, he again spiritualizes them. That is his Vaishnavic quality. So here Maitreya Muni is telling that this counter cursing and all these throwing of darts were going on, throwing of arrows to each other was going on, throwing of verbal bloodshedding was going on. So at this time, Lord Shiva couldn't control this particular massacre, and what he thought is that it is better to walk away. This is the good character that a Vaishnava should actually harpen, or rather grow with. That is, when there is some critical things happening, that is, criticizing is happening, and we are not able to control that particular major situation, the best intelligent thing is just to walk away and chant, because mental stability is very much important. And nowadays, people in Kali Yuga do not have that mental stability. That is why we import on, or rather, we give importance to chanting. So here, Lord Shiva, he was too morose that he couldn't handle the situation. He can never control or make the situation favorable towards a spiritual life. So what he did is that he silently walked away. The cursing is going on. Both the parties never even realized that Lord Shiva has walked away, and he just walked away from the sacrificial place. So a place which should be actually sanctified, it was totally like a graveyard because cursings and counter cursings were going on. It is said in the pages of the Bhagavatam that when we are speaking ill or talking very rudely to anybody, not necessarily devotees only, but when we are talking very rudely, it is exactly like we are meat eating. Exactly like we are doing meat eating. When we talk very rudely, when we talk very sharply, and when we hurt the feelings of others, when we are talking in the process of talking, then it is exactly like meat eating. And it is also said that when we are watching this television, which is not helping our Krishna consciousness, and or rather somebody is too much watching the television, it is exactly like prostitution. So the regulative principles get totally distorted when we do such things. It's not necessary that I am meat eating or anything like that, but when I talk badly to a person in such a way that it harms his heart, or rather it harms his emotion, it is exactly like I'm doing meat eating. So here we should be very, very careful as Vaishnavas how we should avoid this particular aspect of meat eating. I mean, sorry, not following the four regulative principles and subtly doing meat eating or subtly doing prostitution. All this should totally be avoided. And it can be done only by the correct, emphatic chanting of the holy name. Now, as devotees, what we mainly do is that we rush into our chanting. This should never happen. Don't go rushing like how we rush to the office, how we might rush to the washroom. Like that, we should never rush into our chanting. Oh, it is 4 o'clock and my time is going. Don't rush into your chanting. What we should do is that 10 minutes or 5 minutes, sit in your chanting mat and first breathe in and breathe out, because the mind has to be brought from some other zone into the zone of chanting arena. So what we should do is that do this, either you can do this pranayama or just do anulom vilom, whatever it is, the hands should not be touching the beads at that time. Just sit in your yoga position and then put your hands in the receiving end, because we should receive the vibrations from the nature first. The main problem what we as human beings have is that we are not sinking ourselves into nature. We are too much into the city life. We would have seen, when people go for this Ayurvedic treatment, Prabhu, you must be knowing much better. When we go for this Ayurvedic treatment, it is in a very nice arena where nature is more. That a particular hospital or clinic, you do not feel like calling it a clinic also. Not like this allopathic clinic, where there is smell of this, whatever you call it, medicines and all that, you will just get mad. You won't feel like going and seeing an allopathic doctor at all. But when you go into this Ayurvedic resorts type, they build it in a resort type, mostly. And, it is like you have so much scenic beauty, greenery everywhere, lakes or sea or something like that. That means you have to sink your mind into the nature. The main problem why our body has such repercussions of illness is because the mind is not, the mind is not cool, the mind is not stable, the mind is distorted or in anxiety. This is the main reason. And that affects our body. We have that problem, this problem, all these things happen. But if the mind is cool and calm, there is absolutely no problem. Even if you don't eat for days together, your body doesn't feel tired, because the body is not actually sustaining on the food that we eat, but it is actually sustaining on the mind, what pressure or pleasure the mind gives. Based upon that is what the mind, the body is actually sustaining. Like you can know that during the times of your exam, how much you are stressed out. You do not get proper sleep. You do not feel like eating food. You're just forced into go into the exam hall and just finish off with that paper. This is only because the mind is totally perturbed. Now just imagine there is a very mega chapan board kept in front of you, but somebody comes and just tells you that okay, so and so has happened in your family, or maybe you did not get fair good marks, or maybe you failed. Will you feel like eating anything of it? You have the appetite, but you do not feel like eating any of the board because that is it. Your mind is switched off. You do not get taste for anything. This is the same thing which is happening. So the mind is a main play role. He plays a great role in our life. So for setting up the mind is what the chanting should be. The chanting is the only process. No amount of meditation, no amount of Ashtanga yoga, no amount of gymnastic is going to help in this particular age. So the only thing is that don't rush into your chanting. Always go, take a deep breath, take 5 minutes, 10 minutes of your breathing exercise, let the body totally, and when you're breathing in, just sankalpa, just imagine, okay, that I'm breathing in all the good qualities like passion, compassion, truthfulness, love, care, all these I am breathing in. And then when I'm breathing out all my negative energies of anger, what do you say, impatience, all the negative energies, whatever, we might be experiencing. All that I'm breathing out, and that is going out like a black air, it is going out. How this concept came into my mind is when in our lecture of devotion, we have this particular analogy wherein it is said that when we clap our hands, as we clap our hands for the kirtan or something like that, the lines in our palms totally becomes better. That is, the negative lines totally go away, and all the good things, all the good lines come up. So the same way, before we chant, breathe in good qualities. You should imagine this is your sankalpa. This is just your imagination. That breathe in all the good qualities. And when I'm breathing out all the negative, unwanted qualities. It is just going, gushing out from my body, and my mind is at peace. So this is what, and just do this exercise 5 minutes, maximum 10 minutes. And then you can just get into your chanting. That chanting, you cannot stop in 16 rounds. That chanting is so enticing that you cannot stop in 16 rounds. You will feel like going more and more and more. So, just devotees have to just keep this calmness of mind. Now, coming back to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva was such a great character that he was exactly having all the Vaishnavic qualities, and his meditation is always upon Lord Sankarshan. He's always meditating upon Lord Sankarshan, and he's got that particular great qualities that a Vaishnava should have. Therefore, he is the first and the foremost Vaishnava that the scriptures speak of. So here, the main highlight of this particular verse is that the character of Lord Shiva is highlighted. So those cursings and the counter cursings was going on. What did Lord Shiva do? He did not go to stop his followers, nor did he go to stop the other side of them, the other followers of Daksha. He just walked away coolly from this particular, though he was sad at heart, he just walked away coolly from this particular arena and did not distort any of the feelings of either of the parties. So this is what it is said, that a Vaishnava has to be tolerant. Now, there is a limit to tolerance because we are conditioned souls. We are not in the stature of Lord Shiva. All these questions can come up. We are not in the stature of Lord Shiva. So what to do is that a Vaishnava, like Lord Shiva, what we should see is that, see the scenario. It shouldn't be that when somebody is really questioning your character or questioning your particular zone of work, which you have never even thought about doing, doesn't mean that, okay, I am a Vaishnava, I should be tolerant and just come off from there. You have all the rights to justify yourself. You can very well justify yourself and try to convince the other party. But when it is when you feel that it is just falling on deaf ears, say your statement and just come out from there. Our job is just to say our statement. We just need to say our statement and just come out from there. That is it. Nothing else we have to do. So Lord Shiva didn't even, stand for that. He just walked off because he knew that both the parties are equally spiritually having good background. But in spite of that, since they are still stooping low, then he just knew that it is the intervention of the Supreme Lord for this particular purpose. And surrendering all these activities to the Supreme Lord, he just came off from this particular arena. Over here, Prabhupada says that he became morose, that is, Lord Shiva became morose, because he knew that these people, both his men and Daksha's men, they were for no reason, simply cursing and counter cursing. And as a result, there is no development in their spiritual life. So this is what, when we are talking something, we should first find out if this is going to help my spiritual life. Then, or even material life, because we are still in the conditioned life. Even if, is it going to help me in my material or spiritual life? When it is not going to do me any benefit in both the lives, then better not involve in any of the unwanted frantic talks. Just come out from them. And just take the beat back so that the mind becomes stable, so that the mind gets its proper root. That is all. Otherwise, the mind will keep harping, oh, why did he say like that? Why did he say like this? This, the mind will keep injecting into us and we'll totally get disturbed. So the best thing is that to take the bead bag and engage the mind in the chanting. Over here, it is said that from his viewpoint, he did not see anyone, that is a Vaishnava or rather Lord Shiva. He did not see anybody as lower or higher. He never thought that his followers are better and the Brahmanas are lower. Nothing. For him, everybody is of equal. So he was considering that both are having enough spiritual background. Then what is the necessary that he intervenes and gives them their particular part of counseling? It was absolutely not necessary. Therefore, what happens is that he totally walked off from this particular arena. So when the situation comes in a way that it is beyond our control and we can never handle it, then the best thing is to walk off from this particular arena and to keep our own mental stability and pray for the people who are wrestling between each other. That is the only thing that we can at present, at that particular moment, do it. Never go to involve in anything which can never help us spiritually or even for the sake of saying material. Now we will go on to the next verse. Devi Vishwas Vijasatram Sahasra Parivatsaran Samvidhaya Maheshwasa Ye Yatreja Rishabho Hari. The sage Maitreya continued, O Vidura, all the progenitors of the universal population thus executed a sacrifice for thousands of years. For sacrifice is the best way to worship the Supreme Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Devotees can please honor the purport.
Shall I read, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. It is clearly stated here that the 1 second, Prabhuji, I bring my specs now. 1 second.
It is clearly stated here that the stalwart personalities who generate the entire population of the world are interested in satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead by offering sacrifices. The Lord also says in Bhagavad Gita 5.29, Bhoktaran Yagna Tapasam, one may engage in performing sacrifices and severe austerities for perfection, but they are all meant to satisfy the Supreme Lord. If such activities are performed by personal satisfaction, one is involved in pasanda or atheism. But when they are performed for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord, one is following the Vedic principle. All the assembled sages performed sacrifices for 1,000 years.
Sorry, Mataji, I was not able to get my specs, so I called my son.
No problem, Mataji. Anyway, your son got the service, right? It is very good.
Yes.
Yeah. So here.
I was hearing it's a new voice. Who was that? Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother.
So Maitreya Muni here continues and tells to Vidura that the whole universal population, they were actually engaged for thousands of years in this particular sacrifice, and sacrifice is only to please the Supreme Lord. If the sacrifice is performed not for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, but for some other purpose, then that particular sacrifice is just for the namesake. It is just an atheistic way of doing some sort of a sacrifice. Just like we have this particular pastime in our Krishna book about the Brahmana wives. You know, the Brahmana wives, the Brahmanas, they were totally engaged in very kator tapasya and sacrifice. The fire yajna was going on, going on, going on. And when Krishna and his sakas came and asked for some prasadam, which was already offered to the Yajnapati, Lord Vishnu. So the Brahmana said, no, it is not possible to give. But when the boys or the cowherd boys, Gopas, when they approached the Brahmana Patnis, they just readily surrendered. They just said, oh, you want to give it to Krishna? Take, whatever we can make again, you please take. So this is what Yajna Shishta Sinasantu, whatever Yajna or whatever we do, it should be just to satisfy the Supreme Lord. If it is not to satisfy the Supreme Lord, or if it is for some other purpose, then that particular sacrifice is just simply an atheistic way of life. That is it. It has absolutely no meaning. It has absolutely no necessity in doing that other than wasting one's own life. So all the assembled sages, they were actually doing sacrifice, which was for a very long time. But finally, we all came to know about what they have actually ended up this particular whole episode in. We'll go on to the next verse. Aplutyava gatam yatra Ganga Yamunayanvita Virajetatmane sarva swam dhamaya yustataha. My dear Vidura, carrier of bows and arrows, all the demigods who were performing the sacrifice took their bath at the confluence of Ganges and the Yamuna after completing the yajna performance. Such a bath is called as Avavrita Snana. After thus becoming purified in heart, they departed for their respective abodes. So, Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. You can, shall I? No problem. Take your time.
I don't know, my weather is taking time.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
No. Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
It has not come, no? It has not come. Okay.
Now come.
All right. So after Lord Shiva and previously Daksha left the arena of sacrifice, the sacrifice was not stopped. The sages went on for many years in order to satisfy the Supreme Lord. The sacrifice was not destroyed for want of Shiva and Daksha, and the sages went on with their activities. In other words, it may be assumed that if one does not worship the demigods, even up to Lord Shiva and Brahma, one can nevertheless satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.20. 7.20. The persons who are impelled by lust and desire go to the demigods to derive some material benefit. Bhagavad Gita uses the very specific words Nasti Buddhi, meaning persons who have lost their sense or intelligence. Only such persons care for demigods and want to derive material benefit from them. Of course, this does not mean that one should not show respect to the demigods, but there is no need to worship. One who is honest may be faithful to the government, but he does not need to bribe the government servants. Bribery is illegal. One does not bribe a government servant, but that does not mean that one does not show him respect. Similarly, one who engages in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord does not need to worship any demigod, nor does he have any tendency to show disrespect to the demigods. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita 9.23, it is stated,
Ye api
ye api anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayam vita. The Lord says that anyone who worships the demigod is also worshipping him, but he is worshipping avidhi purvakam, which means without following the regulative principle. The regulative principle is to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Worship of the demigods may indirectly be worship of the Personality of Godhead, but it is not regulated. By worshipping the Supreme Lord, one automatically serves all the demigods because they are parts and parcels of the whole. If one supplies water to the root of the tree, all the parts of the tree, such as the leaves and branches, are automatically satisfied. And if one supplies food to the stomach, all the limbs of the body, the hands, the fingers, the legs, etc., are nourished. Thus, by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can satisfy all the demigods. But by worshipping all the demigods, one does not completely worship the Supreme Lord. Therefore, worship of the demigods is irregular and it is disrespectful to the scriptural injunctions. In this age of Kali, it is practically impossible to perform the Deva Yajna or sacrifices to the demigod. As such, in this age, Srimad Bhagavatam recommends Sankirtana Yajna. Yajna Sankirtana Prayer Yajnati hi Sumedasha. Bhagavad Gita 11.5.32. In this age, the intelligent person completes the performance of all kinds of yajnas simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Tasmin Tutse Jagat Tutsa. When Lord Vishnu is satisfied, all the demigods who are parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord are satisfied. So thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of 4th canto, 2nd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Daksha curses Lord Shiva. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah. So thank you, Prabhu. So here from in the purport, Prabhupada clearly speaks about so though Lord Shiva and though Daksha had already left, still the sacrifice was not stopped. The sages continued this particular sacrifice in order to please the Supreme Lord. And so that is what what we are doing, it should just simply be focused just to please the Supreme Lord. It should not be just for our material benefit or just to suit our whims and fancies. Nothing of that sort it should be. It should be basically to please the Supreme Lord. Over here it is said that the sacrifice was not destroyed for want of Shiva and Daksha, and the sages went on with their activities. So it should be, it is quite important that, okay, when a sacrifice is going on or when a yajna is going on, actually, the final yajnapati or the person who gets the final benefit of all these yajnas, not benefit, the mercy what we get is from Lord Vishnu. Before that, it goes to all the different demigods. So the demigods, they take their share of, when they get their yajna share, they are in turn giving mercy to the person who's conducting the yajna. This is how it is. We all know that from the that from the this episode or the pastime of Govardhan Leela, of where how Indra was feeling offended when his share of the yajna he did not get. And so they, all the Devi Devatas, they get their share. But finally, the whole thing is that we are offering the particular yajna to the Supreme Lord only. So the point is not to please any Devi Devata, but it should be, the yajna should be conducted only to please the Supreme Lord. It is quite simple. Now, here what happens is that AP Anya Devata Bhakta, we are totally focused on pleasing the 33 crore Devi Devatas. We do not know most of their names also, but we are bent upon, pleasing all these 33 crore people. But Prabhupada and, the scriptures say it is not necessary for any demigod worship. Now that doesn't mean that we should, okay, when we see this demigod temple, we should not mind there, not go there. It doesn't mean that. You can go and offer your respects to them because they are living entities who have much higher capacities than us. And they are the agents of the Supreme Lord. So we should respect them, we should honor them. But it doesn't mean that we should become their ardent devotee and, ask them for all the material benefits. Whatever material benefits we want, we can ask the Supreme Lord himself, because Supreme Lord is even more capacitated than all these Devi Devatas. And the best yajna, because nowadays to do these so-called sophisticated yajnas with honey and ghee and fire and sacrifice and all these, we do not have the proper trained or the proper sincere brahmanas. So the best yajna what we can do is just Sankirtan yajna. Chant the holy name and do the kirtan of the holy name. That itself is the greatest yajna. For this, you don't have to see whether you're a brahmana, you're qualified, you have the necessary ingredients. Nothing of this sort is required. You chant the holy name and do the Sankirtan yajna. That is pretty more than enough than anything. And this will actually please not only Krishna, but also all the Devi Devatas will also be coming from the upper planetary systems, and they will also be hearing this particular yajna, and they also themselves get purified, and they also like to participate in the Sankirtan yajna. So this is what this particular, so those who are intelligent, Krishna Varnam Krishna Krishnam, those who are intelligent will take up this process of yajna. And those who are less intelligent will go for the great work, that is calling the brahmana, setting up the fire sacrificial arena. Nowadays, we got to do smart work, not hard work. This we have to see. So we all have all the gadgets in our hand. So many of us, we know how to do the smart work, not the hard work, because hard work doesn't pay us much. So rather better do smart work, simple thing. Take your bead bag or go to a satsanga where there is Hare Krishna Kirtan going on. Go there, pacify or please the Lord, glorify all the Vaishnavas, get yourself purified by hearing the holy name, have the purifying Krishna Prasadam, come back home and pave your way back home, back to God. That is it. So, Hare Krishna, if the devotees have any other questions, we have finished. Prabhu, we have finished this chapter.
Yes, Mataji. 3 verses, yeah.
3 verses. If there is any other questions or suggestions, devotees can please.
Yes. So it's here Lord Shiva is showing the ultimate equilibrium, the tranquil mind, which is very difficult even for the devotee circle. We are getting agitated. So this is a good lesson how the Vaishnavanam Yadasambhu, how he behaves when even someone like in the same as Jada is showing equilibrium in all his activities, is not agitated by any of the matter. This is very, very hard to take for the Kali Yuga, Mataji. How to practice that is very difficult. But we have to get reminded every day so that one day we will. That's what I think. It's so nice, Mataji. Any questions, devotees? Or comments?
No problem. No questions. Only thing these verses highlighted the that we should rather it highlighted the importance of Sankirtana Yajna, the
Yeah,
superiority of Sankirtana Yajna. So that superiority of Sankirtana Yajna is more important, and this other superiorities and inferiorities that we can argue and all, that is all futile. It should not
correct.
engage in that. That's what is told. So wonderful.
Yes, Prabhu, you pointed out the very wonderful point. Actually, the chapter ends with how we should not go for demigod worship and all that. It's simply this yajna is enough for this age. Yes, no, Mataji. Mataji said many times. So we have to. Our hand should go to. Whenever we are get agitated, our hands should go to chanting bead.
And Mataji told certain things that how we should calm ourselves before chanting. That is also, I think, wonderful
Correct.
input for all.
Certain
Yes.
certain pranayama, certain tapasya. Once, in Bombay, when Prabhupada was in Bombay, they were discussing some serious land matter problem in New York. Reshmaji?
Yeah, the Bombay episode, na Prabhu, with the Nair. That one you're talking about?
No. This Bombay matter only, but this one is something. They had some forfeiting, like on $5,000 they gave for advance in America, but I don't know whether it's Washington or New York, to buy a property. But that owner was saying that you are going to get the money forfeited because you are not following like that. Then he already agreed that he gave some more time, but he was cheating. So Prabhupada was so upset. What should we do like that? The senior devotees and Prabhupada were in discussing. That time a telegram came from the municipal corporation that stop construction, because it's a court order. They got stay like that. The temple construction, rather, Rasbigari was started, and they asked her to stop. So the devotees were already there in pain. Now this got. So everybody thought, Prabhupada is so agitated. What will do? He will be calling someone. But Prabhupada said, we will meet after some times. Then Prabhupada took chanting bag and started chanting loudly. They say, the Giriraj Sai Maharaj says, I never seen Prabhupada chanting so loudly. And after 6-7 rounds, then again he called everyone. And okay, then what we do? So we must call some leaders of this community here, and then Hindu community, we should seek help them. Then one Mr. Seth was there. He called Baba Sahib Bal Thackeray. He went there direct personally to meet him and said that the Hare Krishna temple, this municipal corporation is starting like that. And he said, he called police commissioner and said, if you have guts, try to stop construction. That will be going on. That will be, they are not going to stop it. If you have guts, go on strong on. So because Bal Thackeray was so strong on any Hindu institutions, and Prabhupada was so cool. And then the police commissioner himself rang and called that, ignore the telegram, you can continue. So in between what happened, this is what happened. Then the devotees asked, so you were so, we all were really shocked, but you were so smooth, cool, and you were never seen chanting so loudly. How it Prabhupada? And Prabhupada said, yeah, calling out the holy name is the only remedy here. And this is the time, it's more testing time, so we have to chant more loudly. If we are not in a trouble, we can, but this is the most testing time, so our voice should be heard to Krishna very loudly. So I was chanting loudly. So this is something that came in my mind, Maharaj. Even ISKCON, even these days, we remember when the anniversary of Bal Thackeray comes, he remember this incident, and we really prayed by heart, because he has done so much good for Hare Krishna movement in Bombay. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Sima Mataji, Anita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. I just when you were saying smart work, nowadays we are doing the smart work with the mobile, not hard work and all. That's exactly true. I had one question. So I didn't know what the class was about. I just concluded with what Narayan Prabhuji was saying, that it was about the demigod worship, which is not necessary. Only Sankirtan Yajna is okay for this Kali Yuga. So I just wanted to ask, but if it is okay, like we are having like some festivals like Ganesh Chaturthi and Onam, and in South India, if you see, we have this Varalakshmi Vrat and all.
Yeah.
Right. So these things, if you worship with the mood that we are, see, all the demigods are said to be Vaishnavas, right? Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So if we worship them in the mood that they are Vaishnavis or Vaishnavas, so that they can recommend us to Krishna. So is fine, Mataji?
That is fine. Anything in either ways, you can somehow be Krishna conscious by worshipping that particular demigod or demigoddess. It is absolutely approved. 100%.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask, Mataji. So we don't have to take that much endeavor, but still we can worship them.
Yeah, of course. Definitely.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
How are you, Mataji? It's been a long time.
Krishna Swasi Mataji. Krishna Swasi.
Come sometime to Dubai, Mataji. Yeah, I'm good by Krishna Swasi.
Have to. Like Vrinda's responsibilities just get over from my head, Mataji. Maybe another 1 year or so. After that is it.
Okay. You're so responsible, Mataji. I just want to have your interview, like how you're balancing both spiritual and material life.
Yeah.
All Mataji are
The
really
Lord
great.
I am not managing. I'm mismanaging rather.
Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So we'll just wind up over here then, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, we can end the call.
Right.
Sorry, Mataji, I am
No problem.
cooking and it's running here.
I know, Prabhu. No problem. Carry on, Prabhu. So fine, Ayan. So take care and have a bright future and do your exams well. Fine. You are giving that set of exams. We are giving other set of exams. Whatever it is, ways exams are going on. Fine. Srimad Bhagavatam Granth Raj ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti vaishnavanti ki jai. Thank you, Prabhu.
Sham Palike Mataji ki jai.
Next week is Thursday. We have Balram Jayanti on Thursday or?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Mataji. Balram Jayanti on Thursday.
Balram Jayanti is on Thursday.
Yes.
Then we will be having an offline program here in Muscat. I'll let you know, Prabhu, what is the situation.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah, thank
Sure,
you.
Okay,
Hare.